Okay, we're moving right along here. We're going to be looking at the noise gate and the dynamics section of the Behringer X32. These might be concepts I know that maybe you're not super familiar with, some of you are, we've had conversations about them, but so I'll go over a little bit of what they do and why we would use them in what scenarios. But if you want to know a lot more, talk to me in person, or there's tons of YouTube videos, or in the handout, the manual that I printed out last year or 2 years ago, whenever that was, there's some information, I believe, on both of these, definitely on compressors, maybe a little bit at least. So like everything else up in this section, it's assigned by channel. So the encoders are going to change, and the values are going to change based on which channel you have selected, and also they're not going to do anything unless they're turned on. Okay, so they got to be turned on to do this. We'll start with a noise gate. What a noise gate is, or a gate, it's kind of just what it sounds like. When you push this view button, you get a view over here of what's going on. Right now I've got the wireless microphone in my hand, so it's picking that up, and you can see it. You can see the blue dot moving. As I get louder, it goes up higher. If I get quieter, it goes down below. As I move this threshold encoder, you can see this little thing here moving. So what is that thing? Well, a noise gate is basically just what it sounds like. It's like a gate. You can see this here, this like a wall, really, that that only allows sounds that are louder. See, this here is decibels. Only allows sounds that are louder than whatever range you have it set to, the threshold, to come through. So if you set the threshold like it is right now, it's at negative 44 dB. If you set it at negative 44, it's only going to allow sounds that are above that to come through the microphone. Okay, so let me turn this up in the house and maybe you can hear it. So right now, you can hear these sounds when I talk loud. If I talk very quietly into the microphone, you're not hearing the sounds come through the mains because it's not allowing them to come through. It's blocking those sounds. It's keeping them out of the mix. It's like a gate keeping those sounds out. So you can adjust the threshold and put it up really high, and then only really loud sounds will come in. So these sounds down here are not going to come in. I have to yell to get through, and then my voice starts coming through. So that's what a noise gate does. The other parameters down here with the noise gate, you see our attack, hold, release, range, mode. Really the main ones that if you ever were to use this, the main ones you're looking at are the attack, hold, and release. The attack determines how quickly that noise gate opens in milliseconds. So if it's a loud sound, it's going to be 50 milliseconds after the sound crosses the threshold before the gate opens and allows the sound to come through. So if I were to speak really loudly, the very first 50 milliseconds would be cut off. You wouldn't hear it. It would not be allowed into the gate. The hold is how long the gate stays open, and the release is how long it takes to come back down. Okay. So again, we probably wouldn't mess with this a ton. Applications might be if you've got a drum set up and you don't want, maybe you have multiple microphones on snare and toms and different things, and you don't want a lot of like the bleed sound to be coming through the kick drum mic or the snare mic when it's not being used, you could set a noise gate at a threshold that blocked out all that unwanted sound. But when the drummer hit the snare drum, it was loud enough to let that hit come through. Okay, or if there's a particular mic that's noisy and you only want it to come through when sound's coming through. You can also use it creatively in a bunch of different applications. We can talk more about those if you'd like. The other thing you'll see is you can tell this light changes when I get above. It shows me when the gate is opening and how quickly it's closing and all of that. How long it's staying open, how quickly it's closing, right here on this meter. Also, you'll see here that this light lights up on whatever channel when the gate is active. Okay, so this is when the sound threshold is not large enough to open. Okay, that gate thing's gonna be on. But once I start talking loud, you can see that the gate opens and it allows the voice through. Okay, so that will show you when that gate's closed. And when the gate's closed, it's kind of like an automatic mute. It's just muting that channel So when you see that light, it's not getting, it's like it's muted. It's like it's muting the channel. Okay, so that's a noise gate. This adjusts that threshold. Again, you could see. Okay, compressor, you can hit view. We've got a similar little path here. And what a compressor does, you can probably guess by just looking at what it's doing. But a compressor turns sounds down above a certain threshold automatically. So the knob here controls the threshold just like it did with the gate. And you're determining at which threshold right here you would like, after which point you would like the sounds to be turned down. So you can see that as I talk louder, I'm coming up above that curve, and it's turning those sounds down. So let me turn it up in the monitors. I don't know if you'll really be able to hear this. So I'm talking here normally without the compressor activated. I'm just going to be loud, 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 loud. Now when I activate it, it's keeping my volume down at a manageable level. Okay, sorry. This is really useful for vocals, especially. You know, when a singer moves in close to the microphone, back away from the microphone, they're just yelling at one part, whatever. It keeps them from being really, really loud and blowing out the speakers because it's going to automatically turn down. So the settings that you have here, your threshold, again, that sets at which point you would like the volume to start being turned down. So then next to that, here you've got the ratio. Okay, and what the ratio does, you control it with this knob here. The ratio says how much you want it to be turned down, kind of at what rate. So a small ratio, it's not going to be turned down very much at all. Large ratio, it's going to be turned down extensively and quickly, or drastically. Then you've got the same kind of settings here: attack, hold, release. Attack is how quickly it's going to turn that sound down. Hold is how long it's going to stay open to continue to allow sounds through, and release is how long it's going to take to move back, to go back down once the compressor is not being activated anymore. Another setting you have here is it says gain over here. It's called makeup gain. And so what happens when you're turning down the loud sounds is that you're losing some of the power of that. You're going to be getting less signal out of that microphone. So maybe now it seems a little bit too quiet. So what you can do is you can compensate. And as you can see as I talk through this, and the compressor is activated, you can see here on the meter on the right that it's turning down my vocals 2 decibels, 3 decibels, 4 decibels, somewhere in that range whenever it's being activated. So you can make up for that over here by turning up this knob, and it's called makeup gain. So this is going to make the signal that much louder. You need to be really careful with this because you can make it, this is adding gain, this is adding a lot of gain substantially. You don't want to add too much. You just want to add enough to kind of compensate for what's being turned down. The benefit of that is that now, and this works especially nicely on vocals, is that now all the quiet sounds that are coming through when I'm speaking into a microphone softer, I'm going to be turned up. Those sounds are going to be easier to hear. They're going to be louder. But then when I get louder, I'm going to be automatically turned down a little bit. So it compresses and kind of squashes the sound. If you do too much, it sounds really bad, and you lose the dynamic range. But if you do just enough, it helps bring out the quiet sounds because they're being turned up by the makeup gain without blowing your ears off because you turned up the volume of the channel, because it's automatically turning the louder sounds back down. Okay? So I hope that makes sense. Again, if you have any more questions, you can ask me. We can talk about it. But the main applications of the dynamics of the compressor is going to be on vocals. It's going to allow the vocals to sit in the mix a lot better because, again, you can kind of turn them up, and so with the makeup gain, so the volume stays kind of constant, at least above a certain level, without dropping down too low. That's going to be our main application in our setting of where we use the compressors. And you don't want anything too sharp. You don't want anything too drastic, or else you're going to start hearing, you're going to hear artifacts in the sound. You're going to hear it kind of sound like, you're going to be able to tell it's being turned down, and it's going to sound fake, and it's not going to sound real. So you're going to have to watch for that. And then if you don't, if you have too little compression, you're just not going to, it's not going to be turning down the loud sounds, and you're just going to get loud things coming out. One other thing to look at here, just to note, if you scroll down to the next layer on this page, so you got 2 layers, push the layer button down, you get this other set of things. I don't want you to worry too much about the any of this, the key filters or the key sources. It's kind of neat. We can talk about this. I mean, it's a neat thing to know, but we probably won't use it for right now. But the other setting is the knee. Okay, in the knee, you can see what it's doing right there. It's adjusting how sharp or how smooth the transition is at threshold. So if it's 0, it's going to be a quick, sharp angle to the volume being turned down. If it's really wide open, it's just going to be a nice, smooth, soft thing, and it's going to be very subtle. So usually it's set around 2, and kind of a nice curve. It's not too jarring, but it also turns down the sound enough to be noticeable or to do its job. Okay, so that's dynamics and the noise gate. If you have more questions, feel free to let me know.